Hey everybody, Dave here. Hope you're having an awesome day. So, my wife left a little eye drop bottle on my workbench, and I came up and I was like, that thing's pretty sweet, and I think I know what I want to do with it. So, come on, let's take a look at it. Hey, I'm going to use the legs from this Final Faction toy that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I can't really remember the name because I threw the packaging away, but they just unscrew and the legs come right off. And I'm going to attach that to this eye drop bottle that my wife gave me, and it's a product from Japan, and man, it'll put a sting on your eyeballs for sure. But here's a look at the legs, and this is kind of what I'm thinking. It seems like it's going to be a pretty straightforward build. So I also got this phone that my uncle was just tossing, and so I broke it apart, and I'm going to try and use like a circuit board from this in order to make it look like there's some kind of electronics on the inside of the robot. So I'm going to scavenge as many parts from this as I can, and then anything left over, I'll just recycle at my work in the electronics bin. Now on the buttons, the button pad's no use to me, but that little ring there looks pretty cool. So because the eye drop bottle is clear, I thought it'd be cool to take this circuit board and cut it and fit it inside so it looks almost like it's this walking computer. This is not so much a battlefield bot to me, it's more of a survey bot. He's going to go out and survey and collect data, and so I think this will give a cool feel. I've never really done anything like this, so I'm kind of interested in this. Now there's some cool Japanese writing on the bottle, and so I'm not really going to bother sanding that off, but I am going to just peel the sticker off, and I got lucky because it just came right off. And here I'm just using my Dremel to cut off this top piece so I can actually slide the circuit board in. And I was lucky, this thing just came right off, so that made it a little bit easier for me. And you'll see here in a second, after I trim this down into more of a half circle shape, I actually just sliced the sides on either side and it opened up kind of like a clam, and I was able to slide that in. And then I'll be able to slide the base back around, put the lid back on, and I think that's going to work pretty well. So I'll glue that here in a minute. In order to get this text off, I'm just using some really fine wet sandpaper. This is the camera out of the cell phone, and I thought it would be kind of cool if it fit in there. So I'm kind of taking a measurement on it, and I'm taking a measurement on some drill bits. I found the right one, drilled a hole through, and I was able to pop that camera right through there and glue it in place. This side of the circuit board was a little boring, so I had this other little electronic component from the cell phone. Just put a little piece of super glue on there, put it in there, and I think it just adds a little bit more interest and variety. After I glued the lid on, I thought I want to build a magnetic system to hold the leg. So I went ahead and drilled a hole through, went ahead and snipped the leg piece off here that I don't need, and the magnet fits perfect. It's so nice, and I got a hole on the other side, but I kind of messed up because they're totally crooked. I need to fix this for sure. So my solution is going to be to use these rubber washers, and I'm going to use kind of a magnet system here. So you'll see I'm taking this longer magnet with this small washer, and I attach it to the body. Then I've got a larger washer that I drilled out and put a stronger magnet in, and I will use that to connect to the body, and I'll glue the leg onto that one. That'll allow the legs to rotate up and down. So after I glue that, I went ahead and glued the other leg on, and I'll kind of align it, stand it up, and make sure everything stands up and is kind of squared up how I want it to be. And this actually worked out pretty nice. I went ahead and added a coat of black paint over the whole thing, just so it gave it a little bit of texture. I just didn't want it to be raw black plastic. And I'm going to go ahead and paint all of these little pieces silver. I'm going to paint the legs silver. And then I'm just taking one of these little chrome pens and just doing some weather and chipping all around the edge. Because this is a survey bot and he's kind of out all over the place, and so he's getting pretty scuffed up. But I think it's looking pretty cool. But it was a little boring, so I thought maybe if I add a couple of greeblies on here, and again, these are just components that came off of the cell phone. And so I kind of started gluing some little pieces on, drilled a little hole in the back, and thought it might be kind of cool to run a little wire from a greebly just to the back to make it a little bit more interesting. And got to add a little antenna because he's got to send data back and forth. So have this little part, I don't even know what it's from, it's just in my bits box. Had this little screw. I snipped that off, glued it in so it looked like the antenna was screwed on. And then I'm just doing some weathering, and I'll damp this clean and so forth. Really quick, let's talk about my fingernails. I know this entire video, some of you might have been looking at them going, ew, your fingernails are so gross. I apologize. I've been doing a ton of black wash on my 1M robots, so yeah, sorry about that. Okay, for the base, I normally do these wooden bases, but I didn't love that, so I hunted around. I found this plastic lid, and I thought, this lid is actually pretty cool, and it maybe gives a little bit more of a sci-fi kind of feel, so I painted it black, and then I'm going to do some dry brush of silver on it, and really all you do is you just load up your brush and then wipe most of it off and then lightly brush it on. Now, as I was doing this, I was kind of questioning myself, but I kept saying, trust the process, trust the process. It looks super messy right now. But as I started adding a little bit more detail and just chipping away at it, and I'm using the brush here to do the chipping, just to show you that you can use a brush or you can use a chrome pen if you have it. Adding some additional weathering, did some washes and some rust, but I still wasn't loving it. So I found these beads, and I thought if I put some beads around the outer rim, maybe it'll give it a little bit more interest. So to glue those down, I just take my blade, I'll pick it up, and then I dab it in a little bit of CA glue and then stick it back down, hold it for just a couple seconds and let it dry. And I think that looks pretty cool. It gave it a really nice effect. I'm going to go ahead and paint all those little heads silver, and then I'll do a little bit of a rust wash on that thing, and I think we're going to wrap this one up.
Okay, so I'll be totally honest, this was a really simple build. And I think this is great for a beginner, somebody that's not quite sure. It doesn't take a whole lot. Go find yourself some little parts at the Dollar Tree, look around for some little trash, and just kind of start putting stuff together and make something awesome, because it's not that hard and it's actually a lot of fun and super satisfying. So let's do some turnaround shots of this thing, and as always, it's a great day to be a toy nerd. Go make something awesome. Have a good one.